as a professor of dance. So this was my first major leadership role in higher ed. And well, I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but I have some notes that I went after coming to the gathering yesterday and seeing the wonderful collection of people. I went back to my hotel, I'm like, throw it all out, I'm gonna start all over. So I have these notes here because this is the chorus, right? I'm talking to the choir. So my impact intention is to curate spaces for art and artists to thrive. And I do that in everything. I am a producer, an educator, creative, all of those things. And I believe creating safe, productive, conducive, or even provocative spaces is at the core of my own personal impact mission. I want to create the space to succeed for others that I was afforded in my own career. So the School of Dance at the University of Arizona, very unique program, and I'm glad I'm there. I'm very proud of it. I have some video that I want to share so you can see the kids, all of that. But that school is cherished in our community. We have a robust community of supporters and patrons with a national status. About 160 BFA majors and 6 MFA graduate students on a campus of about 54,000 students. We're an R1, the only R1 in the state. And I have in dance, the School of Dance, a faculty and staff of about 18. We present about 40 performances a year over several, broken up over several concerts. We have something called the Arizona Jazz Dance Showcase, where we bring in the fall about 800 participants from states surrounding Arizona that come there. We serve about 10,000 patrons each year, and our annual budget is approximately $2.2 million. In June of 2022, I became only the second director in that school's 40-year history. Jory Hancock, well, it was a program before then, but as its current configuration, I'm only the second director, and Jory Hancock directed that program for over 35 years. So you want to talk about change, trying to implement change. This is what I want to talk to you about today, is that idea of implementing change. I'm excited to take it on, the risk of doing that, and I'm just starting to see now in year 3 the results of those practices. So what I do want to talk to you about, I'll say first from my perspective, I come to you with a layered perspective. There's me as the leader in an institution of higher ed, implementing these ideas around arts management and leadership in education. But then there's the artist me that knows that art is important, that everyone should have art, and that STEM, we shouldn't be competing with STEM, all of those things that I believe art can change all of us. There's also the black person of Caribbean ancestry, me, that is living in an education system that is structured to disenfranchise me. And I have to think about all of those things when curating. These perspectives influence how I curate, create, and lead. They're not disparate, but I have to check in with them all the time when I'm making choices. And so I want to say that because, well, let me just say this. Also, it's why the reading list that I shared, I have a reading list, I'll share the slides as well. My reading list is eclectic. It's not a lit review. It's a range of things for contemplation. I have books by Dr. John Perpiner on there, a whole bunch of people, Crystal Davis as well, and an amazing podcast that she has from Jacob's Pillow, I have in there. I also have in that reading list some suggested, other suggested resources I'll talk about later. So now how do I advance this? Just go like that? Okay. Okay, I want to look at what it means for a higher education program to support and prepare dance artists to go into the field, to be successful in making an impact and sustaining a lifestyle in today's world. I don't propose to have all the answers, and my presentation is not the final definition on the topic. I want to engage you, and that's why I changed so much of what I had prepared earlier. I'm not here to teach you or tell you anything. I want to engage. My hope is that after this conference, we find a way to continue to engage. I believe that in 2025, we should reopen the Underground Railroad anyway. Just my thought. But, yeah, but having networks of support for each other, I think, is really important. All right, so we have a short amount of time, and I'll touch on a few questions, and these are some of the questions that I have. I have about 3 videos that I want to show you of the students dancing, and I'd love it if we had just a moment at the end to like engage and talk, right? It doesn't even have to be questions, just thoughts. So broadly, curation for me is about making choices and implementing change. Curation is for me more than just what shows we put on, what choreographers we bring in. Different than the classification and exclusion we know has been part of the dance world, in whatever form. Curation in education is informed by a range of factors related to capacity, ability, access, and knowledge. It is ultimately, like I said, about making a choice, devising the mise en scène, I get that from Tally Beattie, devising the mise en scène for a given area in order to make an impact. So when I think about recruitment and the student body, that's one place where curation happens. Our program has an audition process. We see about 400 applicants each year, and we take less than 10% for the cohort. So I've been leaning into, in our school, much more connection, investment in social media marketing for the school, because that's where we know we're going to find the students. And we've seen success with that. But what happened to how we're retaining those students? How do I curate a curriculum that will retain these students and ensure they graduate successfully and launch a career? And then after they graduate, why do we forget about them? Most universities, you know, we're so busy struggling with our day-to-day, we forget that those are the people that are going to champion us in the future and champion that our program. So we didn't have any alumni engagement prior to me arriving. We're still working on it, but engaging the alumni is absolutely important. We've worked on expanding other opportunities for learning, which include bringing in more non-majors courses and encouraging courses for the minors. In terms of the curriculum, the ways that the sort of curatorial choices that I made for the curriculum, we have something called Careers in Dance. So prior to, we had one course where the kids made a bio and a resume. We all know that's not enough. We needed to have much more hands-on experiences. So now there's a course where the students practice production, dance production, not just changing gels, but how do you make a tech ride, or how do you actually light a dance? All of those things are in our curriculum now, which is great. We just started this spring a course called Black Dance in the United States. Nothing like that in the dance program. We have Trent Williams, who is a recent hire for us, that is teaching that course. I'm very excited about that. And then we implemented something called a traveling dance ensemble. These students are going to go out in the world and perform anyway. The traveling dance ensemble serves like a internship, right? Like a hands-on internship where they develop the works, research the works, and go out and present them. So we've gotten funding from our provost, yay, to do that. And so my wish is to build a new model for dance curriculum, something that moves away from classified courses. I'd love to hear your thoughts about like how does one do that in institutions that are informed by capitalism and slavery, where everything is classified. Like that's problematic in my opinion already. And I wish that there were a way that dance majors can learn, conservatory style. We were at Juilliard together. Conservatory style is great, right? But how can we shape a curriculum for higher ed that is not about grades, not about levels, and getting the most? I'm hearing that a lot at this conference. So performances, I love curating for performances. In just 2.5 years, I've been fortunate to curate, We did Balanchine, Ailey, Graham, those folks. We brought in Jewel Lane. We've had Kayla Farish, and it's been great to be able to do that, to have the resources to do it. I'll talk about, say a little bit more about that. But supporting the faculty, curating for the faculty is also something that I believe is as important as working for the student body and the curriculum. I see my role as a mentor to the faculty as well, because if they ain't doing good, the students are not doing good. And so I seek opportunities for faculty as if they were my own gigs. If I see a grant application, I'm thinking of someone there. I may not always send it out to everyone, but I'm really pushing for that faculty to succeed. In the reading list that I shared with you, I will share with you, there's a book called Leadership Without Easy Answers by Ronald Heifetz that I would suggest. I think it's a good book that talks about those things. It's not about higher ed, it's business, but I think it's a good book. All right, so this is the first one. When I took the role in fall of 22, first person I called was Jewel D. Lane. I love Jewel. He's an amazing choreographer. I just want to share some, it's about 2 minutes of this work that was new movement for these students. We also casted dancers that historically in the program were not getting on the stage. And so that was important. Also about what kind of experiences to curate for the students. Again, I do recognize the fortune that I have with the resources for the school. We have funding that comes, of course, from the state, but we also have restricted endowment funds and then our revenue from ticket sales. One of the reasons why I took the position is because it feels like a company. Like okay, yeah, we're doing education here, but we're operating like a professional company. And that brings value. So if that's the case, then I think, all right, well, what kind of experiences can I curate for the students? So that traveling dance ensemble that I mentioned to you has been my biggest push the past 2 years. And so we've put put this together. We've been to New York already, to the Joyce, thank you Joyce very much, it was an NYCDA, and we were able to take class at School of American Ballet with Aisha Ash, and we brought in George Balanchine's Serenade, and so that was a great experience there. But some of the challenges that I face with curating, and I just want to make sure I'm clear that we don't only do ballet. It's one of the things that we do. Ballet, jazz, modern were the kind of branding language for the school prior to me coming in. We removed that and started focusing on career success, not technical, not 3 techniques that would never make a career anyway, right? So we talk about career success. But some of the challenges that I face with curating student experiences is selecting the right guest works. I never got so many emails from people wanting to work with the school. It's an affirmation, and I appreciate it, but I'm like, which ones to select? And I think about that, which then means I have to eliminate my own bias, which makes me reference Crystal Davis and her idea of implicit bias in higher ed. And I've been reading that book. Again, if you could check out the podcast, it's also cool from Jacob's Pillow. And we all have bias. It's okay to have bias. It's what we do with the bias. And so I want to be able to look beyond my own tastes to curate experiences for the students. So another resource that I want to share with you about curating student experiences is called Closing the Gap, The Hidden Cost of Leadership Isolation. Don't worry if that interests you, there'll be links to it. It's by Jake Taylor Jacobs, and it's an excellent podcast that talks about that loneliness of being a leader in higher ed. And part of the reason, I'm looking at Charles right now, but part of the reason why I say that so strongly is because I just think, well, what do we get paid for, to be lonely? Like the increase in salary to be lonely, and you're like thrown into this thing where your decisions are vital, your curatorial choices are vital, no help whatsoever, or so seemingly. So what type of networks can we have to support leaders with succeeding? So it's just a thought. So anyway, this is the traveling ensemble last year when we did a partnership with the Tucson Symphony Orchestra, and I choreographed Bolero in partnership with the Associate Director, Tamara Compton, and we loved it, and I wanted to share it with you because I was really happy about I also think about in dance, how do you curate deeper inquiry for students? And dramaturgy is not always part of our process in dance. You were just talking about the difference between dance and theater, right? So the dramaturgical has been really important for me. So that work, we created a whole website of research. We looked at Ravel. Who did he make that work for? Because we knew that we were performing again with the backdrop of an orchestra, I thought, well, their costumes need to be the set. So that's why they had the skirts and the color, etc. So they were absolutely a part of, we brought in a costume designer for it. But understanding the dramaturgical and the legacy, that's why I say Sankofa curation, knowing what came before. I compete with the students, the works that I curate for the students to dance compete with the works that the students want to perform. And that's challenging because I'm like, of course you want to dance in Ailey work. Of course you want to do a work by Jewel Lane. They're like, no, we got to go rehearse with our friend for, whatever. So I want to lean on two things. Dr. John Perpiner's book, Concert Dance, The Harlem Renaissance and Beyond. I reference that book because it's important for students to know about those and other legacies. I keep doing that with them. And then just kind of a side book, it's not dance, it's Charlene Carruthers' book, Unapologetic, which is a Black, queer, and feminist mandate for radical movements. I say that one because students are also struggling with the same things we're struggling with socio-politically. The election was traumatizing for students regardless of what side they were on. Sad that it's a binary thing. And so how to help those students with that and their activism beyond just social media posts. So those are the types of books that I share with students. Now it's 2:59. What do I do?
Just you have 6 minutes.
6 minutes, perfect. Okay. So this so about those legacies, and to be clear, we do contemporary works, we do tap, we do hip hop, but these are the ones that I just wanted to share with you because I was proud of them. And so this is last spring we did Ailey's Streams. Linda Kent came out to set it. Sylvia Waters came out to watch it. I felt blessed by those people's presence. So this is the last section of the work. I'll just try and thank you. So none of these things happen without money. You can't do it without money. So I've been, in terms of curation, the other part of that is I've been very active with fundraising. So fortunate enough to be able to work with our development, and we have patrons that I didn't scare away, like they were there before, they're still there. I'm really glad for that. But we also had I started a scholarship, a student success scholarship. And last year we raised $100,000 in February. This coming February, our goal is to do the same. So what I'm saying about curation in those instances is I am taking the agency to ensure that I can continue to curate the student body by having more scholarship support. This was from that inaugural fundraiser, and we got Misty Copeland to come in, which was really nice. And I realized from doing that and speaking with her agent, the humbling things I was basically berated by her agent because she was coming out for way less than she would ever do anywhere. And so I just had to be humble, take my humble pie, and we got her there. So that was the main thing that was important. So I know that this is, let's see, let me go to this. We may not have time to speak or discourse right now, but in the slides that I'll share, there's a link see that top one that says Arizona.box 2025 resources that will have the slides and other information. I'd love it to be a place where you can also upload things. We can share resources, links to the school. That's the students, that's Bolero. That third bullet point is the dramaturgical website that the students created. And then I continue to work and be a face for the school, speaking like this to represent. I did a TED Talk called The Body as Text. I hope you can check it out because that was nice. I involved students in that. And then also enlivening the gallery, the art gallery space, which is about curation as well. I curate in visual art. I love photography. So I lean into curation for visual art as well. I think I got 30 seconds. Does anybody just want to say something? Like, yes.
I know you've been alive for 2.5 years